I don't need millions, but I want to be happy. I want to have the lifestyle that I am happy about. So
Right.
I checked in with myself, like, what is absolutely something that really, really, really makes me happy? And that was travel. So that was my first question. I checked in with myself. What is your major priority? And that was travel.
Hello and welcome to the Ronin Mindset. My name is Steve Didier, and this is the podcast for you if you are looking to break free from that NPC life, become the main character in your own story, and live that life of freedom, traveling the world, and escape the matrix. And today we have a very special guest who's going to share her insights on all this, how she got into this life. Monique Toonen is the financial alchemist. Decisive women hire Monique to unlock financial freedom and find everlasting love with unshakable self-worth, all the while traveling the globe and running her business from abroad. Monique Toonen, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thank you so much, Steve. Love to be here. Love to share my insights and the wisdom I have gathered through the well, the blockages that I hold me back before.
Well, your story, we got to talk a little bit before the podcast, and your story is
Yeah.
really inspiring. I'm going to let you share that. So just kind of let's get into it. Let's start with the life you lived, what happened, and where you're at now.
Well, the short story is I was 50 when I started to realize that I made one decision after childhood trauma, which was I was raped when I was 6 years old, and that decision was I'm going to do it all by myself. I'm not going to trust people again. I'm not going to allow people into my space anymore because that's what I did. And look what happened. So I closed myself off. And that meant that I had a lot of toxic relations. I didn't know how to express my needs. I didn't allow myself to express my needs because I thought I wasn't allowed. I had a very dominant dad. So I learned how to shut up. And well, if you block your emotions, you're gonna get sick.
Yeah,
And I got sick,
I agree.
and not a bit. I was faced when I was in 2020, when I was 55, if I'm counting right. Yes, 55. I was faced with breast cancer.
Wow.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was like, oh my God. And I knew that cancer is, and especially breast cancer, because breast cancer is, the breasts are for feeding. And when the spiritual meaning of breast cancer is actually you are taking too much care of others instead of yourself. That's the
Mm,
basic of breast cancer in a spiritual way. And I
right.
was like, I was really talking to the universe, like, but I did the work and I was getting there and I progressed and, all the 9 yards. Because this was not something that was overnight, of course, right? It I mean, I talked about my abuse. I talked about the patterns in my life. I break through, and I did. I mean, it took me decades, right? So, but when I got sick, when I really was diagnosed with breast cancer, I was like, ding dong. Oh, no, you're
Yeah.
not. you didn't do enough. Because if I did enough, I wouldn't have this symptom. The root of this disease, and it says this is, you get the reason you are have the disease is because you are not in ease. So that's the sign of the universe, right? So I was like, oh my God. I mean, in the first 3 weeks, I mean, I had very long blonde hair almost until my butt. Now, as you can see, I have very short hair because in 3 weeks I was bald, fully,
Wow.
no
From
hair.
the chemotherapy?
Yes, yes. So so the moment I was diagnosed, they took a sample of my breast, and because they need to check what kind of cancer is it, to see which kind of cure you're gonna get, you know. And I was just overwhelmed. I mean, as I said, in 3 weeks time, I was from being diagnosed to losing my hair. Um, that's pretty much like a rocket to process the whole physical thing, you know. And
Yeah.
I have noticed that I actually identified myself as a woman with long hair. Who am I without long hair? I mean, I my hair was like 20 years long with me, you know. I never had,
Yeah.
well, I had short hair. I had this kind of hair when I was 30, but so it was like 35 years that I had the same appearance, so to say, you know.
Right. Well, it's part of your
So
identity at that point.
yeah, absolutely, you know. And but when you go through chemo, because I had triple negative, and triple negative means it's the most fast growing cancer that I had, that exists. So that means like my tumor was 3.7 centimeters. I don't know how to say it in inches, but and it was 3.2, so it was an ellipse. It was really huge.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I lost faith in my body, because, you know, why didn't I know this? You know, what is happening? Did I feel the tumor? These kind of funny things. I'm a coach. I'm a coach from 2010. I started my own practice in my own home. I was like, okay, wait a minute. Uh, Now this is my opportunity to practice what you preach. You know,
Right.
as a life coach, but also, and I was like, because I was scared, of course. You know, I mean, I was like, I'm gonna die. This is it. What have I done with my time? What have I done with my life? So I started to do also the emotional work, everything.
Right.
So started to think about me, and that was very hard, although I was progressing, to really put me first, like really, like in everything. So not only in saying, but also in doing, and that was very
Right.
hard, you know. And if you are familiar with cancer, I mean, when you get cancer, when you get a chemotherapy, your energy goes down to 50%. You need to make choices, whether you want it or not. So for me, it was like, am I going to clean the house, or am I going to cook a meal for myself? Well, guess what? I chose, right?
Food.
So it,
I hope.
yeah, yes, of course, because you need to be healthy to even carry the chemo. They demand you to take care of yourself, right? So in that process, I really learned how to make quality decisions. and everything else is B shit, right?
Right. Yeah, you pare out all the non-essential stuff. Huh?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, and I couldn't work. I could work, but I could not work to sit on a desk behind my computer. That was not possible for me. So I learned how to do business through my iPhone. So I was working,
Okay.
laying down in bed, and then, yeah, do email, do everything. The whole 9 yards, everything what you need as an entrepreneur at a lower frequency, of course, but business must continue, right?
Yeah.
So, and after a while, because the whole process takes about everything is like eight months from A to Z, from diagnosed to cancer free, right? So also the operation, but also getting the chemo is like 6 months or so. Every 2-3 weeks you get chemo. Yes.
6 months
Yes.
of that?
So yeah. So you get weaker and weaker because you get chemo on chemo on chemo, and people the nurses cannot find your veins anymore, or they are hard, and it's horrible, you know.
Yeah.
And also you get stomach problems. You have a lot of physical inconvenience, so to say.
Yeah.
So, and then at one point, it was one day before my birthday. I went to I got an MRI to check how the tumor was doing. And of course, in between, you get also MRI, and you get blood checked up, because your blood need to be good to get another chemo, and you have some challenges there as well. But meanwhile, I am starting to putting myself first and starting to really check in with myself, right? What do I want? How do I feel? What do I need? Can I ask for help? Do I get help? What do I need to do for that? All those things. So I was really pushed into learning new skills for me. I was, well, as I said, I made that decision. I can do it all by myself. Well, at that
Right.
point, I couldn't. Yes, I could it for 80%, but actually able to yeah pass go past not asking for help, and that was really
That
hard
had to
for
be
me.
very difficult.
Yeah, it was really difficult because I was so sustained, doing everything myself, and everybody I teached everybody, don't bother, I can handle it, which
Hmm.
now it was not true anymore. I was forced to embrace a new reality, right? So and then I had my last MRI, and they just wanted to check how the tumor was doing, because I would receive the last chemo, and then the next month I would have a surgery to see well, to because they always open you up. That's the protocol.
Okay.
So I did the MRI, and I remember that it was one day before my birthday, on in 2021, on January 27. um, and they said, Monique, we have wonderful news for you, because you have full remission. And that means
Oh,
that the tumor is gone.
gone.
And gone, like gone, not to see on the MRI anymore. Now, there is a difference between on the MRI and real life, when they open you up, that it can be a half a centimeter can be a difference. So that's why they always open you up. And I was like, I don't know if I can trust that, I fully embrace it. So I remember then I got the last chemo, and a month after that, so the 3rd of March, I got a surgery. And the surgeon came to me and she said, "Wow, Monique, we have another good news for you, because you don't have the tumor is really gone, and even the around the tumor there is no traces left of the tumor." And I was like, "Really?" And she said, "Yeah, you are lucky, because there was another woman who had the same, but the rest," she said, "Yeah, I don't have good news for everyone today." But because she did, I think, like 6 or 7 women who had breast cancer. And I was still processing it, oh my God. And I remember that I like in December, I started to feel confident again in my body. I was like, well, what if, what if I'm cured? What if I'm cancer free later? Am I going to continue the life I'm living right now? And the answer from inside was so hard, like screaming, no. It was really like, no. So I started to think, okay, what am I going to do? Now, here's the thing. When in 2017, I had a sabbatical year, because I always was a part-time entrepreneur next to my corporate job. And I set my corporate job farewell. And I think 2 months after that, my then husband said to me, because we had plans to immigrate in 2020, the same year I got cancer. He said to me, "Oh, I don't want to immigrate. I'm staying here." Well, that's not what he said literally. He find another woman who did want to immigrate. Yes. So after 2 months, I confronted him, because he was cheating on me. And I just, like, for 2 months, I said to my corporate director, I want to leave. I don't want to stay here. I want to make the jump to full-time entrepreneurship. And of course, I talked about it with my ex-husband about it. And he said, "Yeah, let's do it." And we were making plans, and we're gonna do it like this, and we're gonna do it like that. And then, but I was, well, anyway, he divorced me, and I was like,
Right.
okay, well, now I've finished up my corporate job. I had a year of sabbatical, so I was paid to be free, but still, I was like, what am I going to do that whole year? I mean, I was busy all the time, as you can imagine, having a corporate job, having a partner, having a business, and now I got only my business and no partner anymore, and no job. So
that is a lot of life changes in a very short period of time.
Exactly. And I was like, oh, what the heck am I going to do? And I remember then I was like, I love to travel. So I booked 9 international vacations in that year. I had career coaching, because that's what they offered from the corporate, and it was mandatory to participate on that. And I bought a new house. Like, well, that's also a lot, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of major changes.
Amazing, right? But I was like, okay, well, I remember that a friend of mine said, well, I said, well, I want to immigrate. And she said, well, you can do it by yourself. And I was like, oh, hell no. How am I going to do that? I don't know. And I was like, I need my man, my husband. I need money. I need. I had a lot of needs. Um,
Right.
but it was actually fear. It was fear.
Yeah.
It was just fear.
It
So
usually is, huh?
yeah, it's absolutely true. So then after, so I bought this house, I decorated it, and after that year, well, I needed to figure out something else because the sabbatical was over. Like, well, what am I going to do? So I took a step back and I was like, well, let's enjoy life for a bit. I mean, I have been through major changes. Let's be a little bit lazy, right? I have worked my
Right.
ass off the last 5 years. Let's give myself some space here. And so back to that moment that I had surgery and I had laser, with how do you say that? After surgery, you have to have like laser to make sure that that the cancer really stays away, right? So that
Hmm.
took radiation. So
Oh,
for
okay.
like 3 weeks, yeah. So it was like April when I was fully done with the whole process, the whole protocol, and I was declared cancer free. I remember that I went home, I went to the bakery, I bought everything I liked to celebrate life. I
Right.
bought champagne, I bought everything I would like to eat, and just to celebrate life. And then I was like, yeah, now what? I survived.
Right.
What am I going to? I'm not going to do the same. So what I did was, and I don't believe in coincidences. So in January, I received an email of an international living, and I was like,
Ah, yes.
interesting,
I used
you
to
know?
subscribe to them. I followed them when I was a kid all the time.
Yeah, yeah. So I was looking like, oh my God, this is really cheaper than where I live, in the Netherlands, because Netherlands is a pretty expensive country, and you
Right.
have a lot of rules, right? And I was looking like, oh my God, and it really, I mean, within 3 months, I was declared financially free. And this is, I made some major decisions. I left my then boyfriend. I told my mom I'm leaving. I'm leaving the country. I'm going to sell my house. And the funny thing is, when you make the decision, things fall into place.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Well, let me ask you a quick question.
Yes.
Let me ask you a quick question. Uh, I hear, I talk to a lot of people who have, broke free and are living this life. So many times there is some catalyst, like you with the cancer,
Yeah.
or with me, it was losing everything I'd worked for. I was losing my real estate business, getting divorced. I just wrecked financially, lost my identity.
Yes.
But time and time again, I hear this story that something really major has to happen for people to take a step back and go, oh shit, you know what? Am I doing what I really want to do? Like if this is the end of my life, can I look back and say that I was satisfied?
Yeah.
So with
Yeah.
you and the cancer was your wake up call.
Yeah.
How did
For
that
sure.
change your mindset? Obviously, it made you want to get out and travel, but how did that change your mindset toward business? Because you said you took the coaching businesses within what, 3 months you were financially free.
Yes. Yeah. Well, what I did was I made a plan. I made a plan, and not a plan like you get from the financial planner. That's why I call myself the financial alchemist, because everybody can make, well, maybe not everybody, but making a financial plan is not rocket science. Let me put it this way. And I was looking for a financial alchemist, but back then, but nobody offered this kind of service, because I was like, I have been through highs and lows financially also.
Yes.
That I had a huge income and I was freaking unhappy, or I didn't have the time to have fun and have date nights, or whether you are with a partner or not. I mean, if you're looking for one, you have to have time to have date nights, right?
Yeah.
And if
Kind
you
of a
are
prerequisite.
with a partner, exactly, So I was like, well, I don't need millions, but I want to be happy. I want to have the lifestyle that I am happy about. So
Right.
I checked in with myself, like, what is absolutely something that really, really, really makes me happy? And that was travel. So that was my first question. I checked in with myself. What is your major priority? And that was travel.
That's what spoke to you on the deep
Yes,
level.
exactly. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. So that is what, if that's what I really want, I'll make sure it's going to happen. So everything,
Right.
it's actually the same process that, and I call this compounding, because the same process I went through with the cancer, so the circumstances say, okay, well, your energy is going to be low, your physics is going to be pushed down, but you got to make a decision.
Right.
And I made that decision from quality to travel, because I knew I'm quickly bored, so travel gives me the excitement that I'm searching for over and over again. And other people say, oh, every time you go to a new place, you need to explore everything again, so you have to start over again, every place. I said,
Exactly.
I love it.
Yes.
That's what I love,
Yes.
yeah, but you have to find where you do the groceries. You have to, I said, well, of course, yes, the first few days, but it's very quickly when you find the places where you can do groceries, and you find new places to do your groceries. You find new places where you can shop.
Yeah.
It's I feel like Aladdin all the time, because there's something to explore, something to find. You don't know what's coming, and I love that.
You know,
That,
you know what I love about that, exactly what you're describing, is you don't get to sleepwalk through your day and just do the same old thing over and over again. You're forced to be present.
exactly. So, and because of that, you look to life as a little child, like,
Mhm.
oh wow, they got, wow, and then you meet other people, and then you have a great conversation, or you find something awesome in the shops that you're like, oh, I never seen this before. If you think you know it all, well, go travel. You're gonna be
Mhm.
surprised, right? So
Oh yeah.
so that
Right.
is, yeah, so for me, that was my main thing, because the question I asked myself, what I told you, what happened in 2017, that I remember that I was like, oh, I wish I could live, uh, uh, I could live this year forever,
Right.
so like always traveling, because then I came back from another vacation, and then I came back, and I was like, oh, when I can go again, and now I
Yep.
have that life. So 3 years later, my wishes were heard.
Yeah.
It was
You get to
good.
wake up and decide where you want to be, how long you want to be there, and if you get bored someplace, you book another flight.
Exactly, you go. Yeah.
Simple.
I like to max out the visas I get, but yeah, for sure. Because this is my philosophy. Because I believe, people say, oh, most of the time I stay 3 months, but here in Mexico I can stay 6 months. Most of the time I stay 5.5 months, because after 5.5 months I'm like, well, I'm done again with the heat and Mexico again. I want something different, right? But most of the time I stay 3 months, and and some people say, "Well, I don't know, I don't understand why you stay 3 months." I said, "Well, you don't know how much I discover even after 6 weeks or being eight
Yeah.
weeks in the same place, because you really get to sniff the culture, the food. You have more time to explore in the narratives of not only the main things of the city or the country, right? Uh, yeah, so enjoy life to the fullest. And the same
That's
thing with my
amazing.
dog. Yeah, because a lot of people say, "Oh, do you travel with your dog?" That's an harassment. That's a lot of work. Yeah, it was in the beginning. I didn't know where to go. And yeah, I made mistakes, and well, whatever. I
You
will
learn.
figure it out. Yeah, you learn
What kind,
exactly.
what kind of dog do you have?
Pomeranian. So she's a
Oh, okay.
very well, a Pomeranian. I took this breed because they are very much into training. They love to train,
Mm,
and she's very social. So everyone here, when they even see her, people start to smile, right?
yeah.
And she's just a fluff ball. So everybody, also the kids, So and of course, yeah, she is also a tool for me to connect with other people,
For
in
sure.
in social ways. She's not a real
You
tool. I
know,
mean, don't get me wrong, but yeah,
I found the same thing because when I left the U.S. in 2013, I had a dog too, but I had like a 100-pound pit bull, Winston.
oh
So
wow,
that limits a little bit how you
yeah,
can travel, of course.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
always an adventure going over borders and this and that.
yes.
So I moved to Mexico and I had Playa del Carmen as my home base for a long time.
Well, there you
And
go.
yeah, and it was the same with him because I would walk him on Fifth Avenue. I would take him everywhere. And, with that particular type of breed, even though he was a complete sweetheart, it was one of those
Yeah,
things where people would either cross to the other side of the street, like, what the hell? Or
yeah,
they'd want to take pictures with him. And I met so many people just by having the
yeah.
dog. But so, yeah, it's a kind of a good social
Absolutely. Yes, for
tool.
sure. Yeah, well, that was not the main reason I took her, because I really wanted to train a little puppy. I always had rescue dogs before,
Right.
so that's a big difference. And I actually didn't know that I could do it because of that, you know. And but I trained her because I bought her because she's born in Russia, and I
Hmm.
bought her in February, and then COVID hit. So I had to wait for 3 months. So 1 month before I was diagnosed with cancer, I got her. So
Okay.
during my chemo, I had to train with her to do potty training, all those, going outside 5 times a day. Well, I didn't want to do that,
Ooh.
but that was she was my savior. That's why
Yeah.
I call her spirit.
Well, dogs are absolutely amazing as far as like emotional support animals.
Oh yeah,
If
for
you're
sure.
in going through something like that or you're dealing with some really heavy emotional stuff, dogs are amazing for that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And she was just a little, I mean, she was 4 months old. Uh, she was just a joy in my life. And she still is. She still is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Very
She
cool.
went through the hardest time of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing what they can do. Well, let me ask
Yeah.
you this. how do you handle the logistics of running your business full time while you're jumping to new countries every 30 to 90 days?
When I travel, I always block out. I'm not available. Most of the times, I like to have a day before and 2 days be after to do groceries, to travel, and
Acclimate, settle
be
in.
yes, settle in exactly. I mean, not like fully stacked, but at least to have the basics in a home.
Wi-Fi for
Because
one.
yeah, for sure. No, I mean, I always book accommodation where there is Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
That guaranteed. And yeah, I only work 3 days. So I work on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then on Tuesday and Thursday morning I do. If something is on fire, I will handle that in those mornings, and the rest
Right.
of the week I'm off. I do whatever I like.
What does your typical work day look like? Because your coaching business is full time, and that's your main gig, right? What does your
Yes,
typical work day look? Your Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
I always start with a meditation. Um, Check in with my mood, and then get a guided meditation. Then I go shower, uh, walk with my dog, come back. I journal every day. Only week times, not in the weekends.
Right.
And then I do deep work from 9 until 11:30. Then I check social media. I post my posts because I do that on Friday afternoon. Uh,
Okay.
and then, how do you say, comment on posts or
Yeah. Respond to
answering.
different things on social media.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and then
Engage.
engage exactly. And then in the afternoon, I do calls. I do interviews. I do. Things on my website, develop stuff in the afternoon, and then most of the time in the afternoon, in the early afternoon or in the late afternoon, I do clients,
Okay. How
and
many
that
clients do you typically have in any given month?
I only open up for six. I have only 6 spots for every month, so I have
Okay.
an intensive. It's called the Awaken Your Bliss Goddess. It's
Okay.
the method I teach is the Bliss method, and Bliss is an acronym. And I also have a membership when people don't want. So that's 4 months intensive for like
Hmm.
really like 24. Well, not 24/7, but you get access to me, can ask questions, you get all the tools. And I have a membership, and you can get started for like $150 a week.
Okay.
And the more access you want to me, the higher price you pay. And you
Of
get the
course.
same program, but you are more flexible in matters of payment and time. So I have 19 tools, and those 19 tools you can finish within a year.
Okay. Okay.
So that's for people who cannot have access to a high ticket immediately. They have more flexibility and more time
That's
to
that's a
check in.
really good way to structure it because if you limit the amount of coaching clients, it maximizes the time you have available for
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
And I know, like for me, I always that's that balance because I've got the two minds. I'm like the one who wants to explore, and I'm like the guy who also wants to build this business. If I'm not careful, I will start stacking and doing more
yeah,
and more work and more work.
yeah,
So that's something that I have to be conscientious of.
yeah,
But I think that's a great way. If you limit yourself, you have X amount of coaching, full-time coaching clients or high ticket coaching
Yeah,
clients.
yeah, yeah,
You've got your groups, you know how much that time that's going to take.
yeah.
So you can really control, you have control over your schedule.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Well, I don't. I mean, on my working days, I don't do any social events in the evening, or I even don't go to the beach with my dog. I used to do that, but it gets me out of concentration, out of focus, so I don't do that. So the working days are working days, you know. But
Serious
on
working
days,
days.
serious working days. Yes, I'm in the zone. Then I'm into, and I love being in the zone. So when I get out of the zone, yeah, you can say, well, that's great to refresh your mind. Well, that's what I do on the other days because I don't think about my work
Right.
on my days off. I can check in
Do you,
my email or whatever, but um, I'm not working. And when I say I'm not working, I'm congruent.
right. You mean it. It's a good
Exactly.
thing.
Yes.
So
Yes.
do you, like your full-time clients, your high ticket clients, do they have access to you to like only during the coaching calls? Can they message you like, a lot of different coaches use like Voxer and different tools like that, but you just
Yeah.
answer on your
Yeah.
specific working days and there's the expectations are set that
Yeah.
way?
Yes. So I have office hours, as I call it, unless, I mean, I also have like premium high ticket clients who step in for a year, but that's a different payment, of course. Uh,
Right.
they have 24/7 access to me, but I will always respond, but when it's a really premium client, but I always ask, especially when it's the weekend, does this need to be answered right now, or can you wait until Monday?
Right.
Right?
Well,
It's
if you set the expectations very specifically with your clients
exactly,
when they take on,
exactly.
that's not a problem.
Right.
I've never found that to be an
No,
issue.
no, that's absolutely true. No, I'm very clear but that's what I teach in my program as well. I call that your non-negotiables, where I
Right.
go through with women, what are your values and what are your non-negotiables. So,
Right.
if you have done the work, and I have done that, life becomes easy because you know exactly what you want, you know exactly where you stand for, you know how to say yes, and you know how to say no to things that are not matching with you. Well, that's
Right.
why I call wealth is seeking you. Are you a match? Well, if you say yes to things you actually want to say no, you're not a match.
Right. Exactly.
It's
That's a
you.
great way of looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, if and I'm not saying that for me because I am right, but it's more like, well, if you want to, if you want that spiritually, and the universe is working with you, and the universe is working with your energy. So if you're not
Right.
congruent, the universe wants to help you, but the universe is confused because you
Right.
say yes, but you do no. And I'm like,
I know. You're sending mixed signals.
exactly. But not only to the universe, but also to the people around you. Because people don't know who is
And
Monique Toonen.
also,
You know, if I say yes and I do
right.
no.
But you'd also be sending mixed messages to your clients. If you're telling them to have non-negotiables, you're telling them to set boundaries, but then you don't set any for yourselves, that's not congruent either.
No, absolutely. No. I practice what I preach. I live the life
Very important.
I am teaching others. Yes, yes, yeah. The most important thing.
Well, that is very, very inspirational. What kind of advice, last question, and this is the important one, what kind of advice
Yes.
would you
Okay.
have for somebody who might be on the fence? Maybe they've wanted to do something different, their passion lies elsewhere. They want to live this lifestyle, but they're kind of maybe I don't know, to a certain degree, trapped in their
Yeah,
current lifestyle, whether it's a 9 to 5 job or whatever.
yeah,
And a lot of times, obviously, it's fear holding us back. All these
yeah,
excuses that we make up are not really that valid. It's just propping up our fears. What
yes.
advice would you have for somebody like that to do this without having to have some sort of traumatic event in their life that just makes them say, "Damn."
Yeah. Well, I have a challenging one for the most people, men or women, because I was a woman with a lot of masculine energy, meaning I am referring to the doing, So my advice to all those who are sitting on the fence, I would say, going to leave you with that question. What do you need to be lazy? You need to be lazy. Because when you are financially free, like me, you don't have to do anything. You don't.
Right? You don't
My,
have to.
my, no, you can choose to, but you don't have
Exactly.
to. So,
Right.
so when you start to learn how to be lazy, that's actually an invitation to say, I'm open to receive instead of getting it. That's a different attitude in life. And
Mm.
if you really want to become financially free, you have to learn how to be lazy. And everything that comes up, that's only there for you to learn and to how to grow to become a match for your wealth.
That is powerful. I love it. You need to listen to this woman, people, because she is the living example. And you don't have to wait until something like cancer or financial
No.
ruin or whatever hits. You can, if this is something that's truly in your heart, like, and I'm not judging anybody. If somebody's happy doing the what I would just call the regular life, that's fine. I don't, I'm not trying to convince anybody to live my way of life or your way of life. But
No.
if you truly feel that in your soul and that's something you want to do, we get one shot at this life. So do it and don't
Yep.
wait for something to happen because, I've said it a lot of times in different interviews, but the most terrifying thing in the world for me is to be on my deathbed and look back and have all those regrets, those shouldas. Man, I should have done this or I could have done this. And
Yeah.
it's too late.
It's too late. Yeah.
So
I
don't
always
wait
say
until it's too late.
no. And remember, the last suit has no pockets. Life is now.
Ooh, life is now. Life is now. Well,
Yeah.
Monique, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Your story is super inspiring to me, and I hope other people can get some wisdom out of it to pursue their dreams, whatever it might be. Maybe it's not traveling, whatever their dreams might be, to just
Yeah.
step up and take action and make, like you said, make that decision. That's what it's
Yes.
really about.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah.
So,
Yes.
thank you so much, Monique. I really appreciate it.